give a very warm welcome to our finale. What a great way to end the show, honestly. Come on up here, Giovanna Maimon. Here and enlighten us as we can all create our own positive vibrations. We all need to learn from that. So I understand you have your own presentation. I'm going to give you the clicker.
Yay.
All right.
Hi, here I am. Let's start over. Hello, everybody.
Hello, welcome for Giovanna Maimon.
My name's Giovanna Maimoni, and I just love information. Don't you guys love information?
Yay for information.
Yay for information. If only we could have all of it without it being told what we're supposed to know. So I actually spent 14 months researching for this book, and I found the most insane information. And I thought to myself, how come we don't learn this in school? How come people don't know about this? How come we don't understand our bodies the way we're supposed to understand our bodies? So that was my first introduction to there's so much information out there that we just don't know, right? So I am going to break it down for you. I'm sure you've all heard of EMFs, right? We've been talking about them, EMFs. We've only heard it associated usually with something negative, right? EMFs from our phone, EMFs from 5G, EMFs everywhere, EMFs. However, we are electromagnetic frequency beings. Yes, we are. And that is why that all of the frequencies in our surrounding affect us so much, because we are one of those things that is in the environment, right? Electromagnetic frequency being. Real briefly, what I want to do, because I thought this was so interesting. The reason I have this slide, these are all pictures from my book. You can buy my book on Amazon, or from me, if you want to contact me. But I found this to be completely interesting because there are 20 trillion electrons in one cell. That's crazy, right? We have all these bouncing protons, neutrons, electrons, right? That's what makes up matter, right? We learned that. We learned about that much in science, right? Protons, neutrons, electrons make up a cell, right? Nucleus, all that stuff. But do we really understand what's happening inside the body? Most likely not. So what's happening is we have 20 trillion electrons in one cell. And there's about 37 trillion cells in the human body. So if you multiply 20 trillion times 37 trillion, I don't even know what that number is, and I was a math tutor for 25 years. So all I'm saying is that it's a lot, right? So there's a lot of energy constantly going through our body, picking up all kinds of signals, sending out all kinds of signals. The good news is that we lose 500 billion cells a day. 500 billion cells a day, right? So by losing those cells, we have the opportunity to regenerate and to make new ones, right? Well, what do those cells regenerate off of? Frequencies. Well, what kind of frequencies? The ones that are going through our bodies, the ones that are in our environment. So, whoops, wrong way. So there's 3 things that affect our health, okay? So let me just tell you, really simple, break it down. We're either healing, our bodies are either healing, or they're not, or they're being harmed, right? And you can't do both at the same time. Because the only way for our body to heal is if we're at ease. And that means no stress, no fear, none of those crazy thoughts that run our life. Running, fight or flight, right? If we're in fight or flight, we're not healing, okay? So it's really important to understand what's in our environment, because there's things in our environment that could be attacking us. There's 3 things that affect our health: environment, foods, and thoughts. Well, I think we know a lot about environment, right? We know about EMFs. We've already gone through this, so I'm just going to give you a little visual to remind everybody that these are things that we cannot see that can be very harmful to us. And then there's the foods, right? So I'm not going to go too much into diet or nutrition. I'm just going to let you know that there are certain foods that have lower frequencies and no frequencies. So if you want to add frequency-enriched foods, it's important to know what those are. So what I really want to focus mostly on today is thoughts, right? Because thoughts are the one thing that are with us all the time, right? We can go to the mountains and get a better environment. We can choose to eat better foods, grow our foods, drink water, right? But what's with us 24/7 that's constantly knocking on our door, right? Those are our thoughts. So this is a little visual to give you an idea of what happens when we have stressful thoughts. When we have stressful thoughts, see those little cells? Well, that's what they look like. They're like, ah! And then when we have happy thoughts, they're all happy. So what happens when we have cells that look sick? What do you think happens? We get sick, right? Because we have sick cells. If our cells are sick, our body is sick. And we can literally make ourselves sick with our thoughts. Literally. So I'm going to read a couple things from my book that I found extremely fascinating. Our brains are almost fully developed by the time we're 5 years old. 90% of our brain is fully developed by the time we're 5 years old. What happens is it develops what's called brain patterning or brain mapping. Maybe you've heard some of those terms before. And this is information that I got, and all my sources are cited in my book, so I'm not going to go ahead and cite them here. I'm not plagiarizing. I did not write some of these information. So let me just tell you something really fascinating about our brain. So negative thinking, I'm having a really hard time. Negative thinking slows down brain coordination, making a difficult process and thoughts to find solutions. Feeling frightened, which also happens when focused on negative outcomes, has been shown to decrease activity in our cerebellum. I believe somebody already had spoken on that. Michelle just did, actually, which slows down the brain's ability to process new information, limiting our ability to process to proactive creative problem solving. Additionally, the fear factor impacts our left temporal lobe, which affects mood, memory, and impulse controls. Thus, the more you focus on negativity, the more synapses and neurons your brain will create that support your negative thought process. So you can actually become addicted to depression. You can become addicted to fear. You can become addicted to all of these emotions. Why? Because when our cells regenerate, they regenerate off of these frequencies. And what happens when our cells are in our body? They trigger what's called the synapses, like a little firing, like an energetic firing. And what happens is they're signaling our brain for the frequency that they were built off of. So if we're rebuilding our cells constantly off of these negative and lower vibrations, it's kind of like a chain reaction. It's like, which came first, chicken or the egg, right? And what's happening is the cells are talking to our brain and they're going, where's that depression? Where's that sadness? Where's that fear? Because that's what they're made of. But the beauty of it, like I said, is that we have the ability to reprogram ourselves. Because why? They're regenerating every day. So if we're very mindful and conscientious of our thoughts, we have full capability of controlling the health of our cells. So what I would like to specifically talk about because of the pandemic is there's a lot of depression, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of uncertainty. Well, we already know that we can't really fully function. We can't connect to source. We can't connect to intuition. We can't do all these things when we're in fight or flight, right? Fear puts us in fight or flight. Another thing that happens is television programming. It's called programming for a reason. Television programming and the brain patternings. So I wanted to really get to this brain patterning because, oh, here it is. It's such amazing information. So I had mentioned that we get most of our brain developed by the age of 5. So the brain is the command center of the human body. A newborn baby has all of the brain cells they will have for the rest of their life. But the connection between these cells that really makes the brain work. Brain connection enables us to move, think, communicate, and do just about everything. The early childhood years are crucial for making these connections. Do not ask your children. At least 1 million new neurological connections or synapses are made every second in that time of their life. which is more than, as we are adults, is the most that we're ever going to do as a child. So this is what happens. We get these brain patternings. So this is the crazy thing. A map is set in our brain after repeated behaviors and reactions from experiences that we don't even remember. So if we are experiencing something at 2, and then we apply that feeling and response at 3 and 4 and so on, it becomes an unconscious map. One that does not change unless we repattern it. That's what triggers are, right? Triggers come from that brain mapping that we don't even know. That could have gotten there when you were 2 years old and you don't even know why it's there, how did it get there. So think about how that affects our whole perspective on life and the future of our health and happiness. Think about what is buried so deep in our subconscious that it plays a part in every decision we make and every response that we have in our life. So, just real quickly, this is one of my favorite pictures. So, all prescription medication, shuts off the receptors in the brain and shuts off the neurotransmitters, right? That's how antidepressants work. They convince your brain that you're not depressed because it shuts off the receptor that is capable of having that feeling. So, what happens if we keep putting stuff in our body that shuts down our neurological receptors? Well, we're probably not thinking very clearly. So, what I would like to focus mostly on for this evening is the lower vibrational emotions, because these are things that most people have been experiencing these past 18 months. We've got shame, guilt, apathy, grief, and fear. Anger, desire, okay? So if you think about it, this is what most people have been feeling, right? We feel shamed for not doing what we're told, or for killing grandma, doing all these things. There's fear of not being accepted, or fear of catching something, or fear, right? All these things. So what are we doing to our body when we have these thoughts? We're making our body sick, okay? So no matter what your choice is, no matter what you choose to do with your health, it's really important that you maintain healthy thoughts behind what you're doing, right? Be enlightened about it. Have reason for it. Have acceptance, willingness, courage, pride. If you're not doing any of those top emotions when you make decisions and they're coming from these lower vibrational frequencies, we're not coming from source. We're coming from a place where we cannot think clearly, okay? I've said it, Michelle said it, the science is there, it's everywhere, okay? Please do some research. Research is a lot of fun. So, what happens when we have fear? Well, manifestation anybody can do, right? You can manifest all kinds of things just by putting thought to it. But what we don't realize is that we can manifest negative things as well. Because when we tell ourselves, I don't want to be poor, I don't want to get COVID, I don't want this, the brain does not know the difference between want and don't want, and all it hears is poor, COVID. That's all it knows. It doesn't distinguish anything. Our brain fires very quickly, hears words, we go into fight or flight. When we have these thoughts, everything shuts down. We have the inability to heal, the inability to think, and we're just on fight or flight, right? We're just on adrenaline. Let's just go do this, right? So what happens when we have fear? We shut down our manifestation abilities, and the little magic genie goes right back into its lamp because it doesn't like being around fear. And it can't create anything from fear. The only thing it can create is what you're fearful of. So this is a really powerful image because it talks about stress. And stress will kill you faster than anything except maybe a bullet. So I would like to read a really quick excerpt from my book about stress and what's happening when we're under stress, which I'm sure a lot of people have been under more amounts than normal in the past 18 months due to all kinds of reasons. So, stress kills us faster than anything besides maybe a bullet. We can put our body under a lot of physical and emotional stress. Stressful thoughts are nothing but negative energy and frequencies. Stress is defined as our body's way of responding to any kind of demand or threat, whether we sense danger, whether it is real or imagined. That is very powerful stuff. An imagined threat. Why would we conscientiously create harm on our body? When our body is under stress, it goes into fight or flight, as we've said many times. It is literally fighting for survival. So a thought can put our bodies in survival mode. Is that how people, does that sound like living? That doesn't sound like a very fun life to me. So I wanted to make it really, why I have these images and why I'm really stressing thoughts is because we have full control to change our life. Now, what's the best way to do it? Raise your vibration. Why? Because we are frequency energy beings. And what do we want? We want positive high frequencies. Well, how do we do that? The same way that they kill us, through our foods, environments, and thoughts, right? So, foods, thoughts, and environment. Oh, something happened to that little T over there. It got scared. No. Okay, so these are 3 ways to raise your vibration. And I'm not going to go too far into it, but again, I had mentioned that there are foods. Every food has a frequency, so I encourage you to just, hey, they're all in my book too. I'm selling them at the end if anybody wants one. But I did all the research on the frequencies of foods, just real quick. Obviously, fresh fruits and vegetables, herbs, cacao, spirulina, wheatgrass, all those things. The lower vibrations are going to be processed foods, sugars, anything that is probably not coming from the earth. And one more thing I would like to add is that within this research from my book, I found that there are 8 chemicals, some which are here, in our foods that are banned in over 100 countries. So, and this is from our trusted FDA. We trust these people, and this is what they're putting in our food that is banned in over 100 countries. So when everyone says, oh, I'm waiting for the FDA, oh, I'm waiting for the FDA, waiting for the FDA to do what? Put more poison in our crap? I mean, this is insane. These are in our foods. I have a list of all 8, and particularly 8 banned chemicals in over 100 countries that are only in our foods in the United States. And these are the people that we're waiting for to tell us what to do with our health. Sounds kind of crazy. Okay, so again, I wanted to have this slide here so that you can understand. Okay, so ways to raise your vibration. The last thing I want to do, because it's free, right? We have foods that are not free. We have vacations that are not free. But what we can do is we can get out in nature. And I want to tell you about the very simplest, most simple thing that we can do to help raise our vibration, besides thoughts and mindfulness. It's called grounding. Okay, the reason why it feels so wonderful when we go out in nature is because nature has the same frequency as humans. There's something called the Schumann resonance. It's measured at 7.83 hertz. 7.83 hertz is the frequency of our body as well. Now, there was a Nobel Peace Prize winner by the name of Luc Montagnon. I can't really pronounce his name. It's in my book. No. And he created life from water with there was no DNA present, and he created DNA through the frequency of 7.83. Okay, so it shows that life exists in its most purest form at this frequency. This is the frequency that we need for health. 7.83, I know it gets a little technical and mathematical, but if you round that to 8, it is directly in correlation with the frequency of 432, which I'm sure you've heard being associated with music. So 432, these are all healing frequencies. So grounding, getting back to grounding real quick before I end, what you do is you take your shoes off and you go outside and you put your feet in the ground for about 15 to 20 minutes. And the reason we want this is because everything runs through the feet, right? All of our nerves, everything through our feet and our hands, and it's coming straight up. It's affecting your nervous system, and it puts you at complete ease and peace. So these are things that you can do for free to raise your vibration. Go outside and ground yourself for 15, 20 minutes a day in the grass or the ground. I was also told that you can do concrete as well, because concrete reflects that as well, but not the driveway. You can't do asphalt, but you can do concrete. So concrete ground, it's better to get your toes in the grass. It feels a lot better. So I want to do that, and I just want to end with one more quick thing. I want to remind you guys that I don't have my final words on my card. Oh, here we go. So we really do have the power to heal ourselves. We really, really do. And if you don't believe me, you can do the research like I did. And if you don't want to research, because not everybody apparently likes to do that, you can ask other people that have done the research, like people like Dr. Bruce Lipton or Dr. Joe Dispenza. They've spent 30 plus years apiece with, yes, doctors and scientists proving that we have 100% ability to heal ourselves. However, it takes work, it takes mindfulness, and it takes information. It takes correct information, okay? So to think that we have to put our health and everything in the hands of somebody else, I don't know who came up with that. Probably somebody who wanted to make a bunch of money. But all I know is what I've studied. And like I said, I love information. The information's out there. And this is just more proof that there's so much information out there that we don't know. So don't believe everything you hear. And don't believe everything that you hear to be finite and to be the only. Because I proved in this book, after only 14 months of research, that there's so much information out there that we do not know. And there's so much beneficial information out there that will help you understand how to heal your body by yourself, because we are electromagnetic frequency beings, and we do have the power to keep our vibrations high.
Right.
So thank you so much, and I hope that
beautiful.
you learned a little bit today, and whatever you want to learn more of, please go out there and dig for research, because it's there.
What a way to end our show. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That was so beautiful, so enlightening, and let me all keep our vibrations